Swami immediately, he turned his head towards him, stared at him and he said, "Hey, jhoot bolta hai, you are lying." Experience of meeting Bhagwan or speaking with him, interacting with him. So what happens is really the scriptures come alive. From childhood and across the various spiritual traditions of the world, you always hear that God is omnipresent, that He is omniscient, He is omnipotent, that He is ever present, knows everything and He is present everywhere. But it is when you meet Bhagwan and you have those experiences, and suddenly you see that all these are not some abstract notions, and there is divinity, and that divinity is present right in front of you as Bhagwan. I recall this was soon after I joined for my Masters in Business Administration course here. I had a classmate who was from New Delhi, and he was also my roommate. He was very fortunate, he was very dear to Bhagwan, and practically every day during darshan, Swami would speak to him. Now as it happened, he contracted viral fever and he was sick for almost a week. And it was my duty as his roommate. I used to tend to him, I used to bring his dietary food and all those things. And for 1 week he missed darshan. And at the end of 1 week, he found he was fit enough to go for darshan. The previous evening, he said, "I just want to check my weight." So I accompanied him. We went to the hostel dispensary. We checked his weight. It was 68 kgs and we walked back to our room. Next day, we go for darshan. And Swami sees him and there's a broad smile. He says, "Oh, what happened to you? You weren't here for a long time." And he said, "Swami, I was sick, I had fever." And Swami said, "Oh, you have become very weak." And he called the warden and he said, "See this boy, he fell sick because he is from North India, and in North India they eat chapatis, for predominantly chapatis, but you are feeding him a lot of rice. See, that is the reason why he has fallen sick. Complete change in diet. You must ensure that he gets more chapatis." And Swami said, "Oh, see his weight, it has decreased so much." And he asked him, "So what is your weight?" Now this student, he had seen that his warden was having a very rough time. He thought he'll make it easier for him and he said, "Swami, my weight is 70 kgs. Swami immediately, he turned his head towards him, stared at him and he said, "Hey, jhoot bolta hai, you are lying. It is 68 kgs. And immediately just turned to the warden, very nonchalant. Not looking for any approbation from anybody, because as Swami says, miracles are his nature and he doesn't need anybody to express their admiration because it's second nature to him. And when do these miracles happen? And I have seen with my own experience, my mother's experience, that when the faith of the devotee, it meets the grace of the Lord, see, that's when that magic happens, that miracle happens. And my mother, she had this very simple faith, that Swami, he could do anything, he knows everything. See, that was her very simple faith. And Swami used to respond to that. I recall this incident, even the date, it's very dear to me, April 4th, 2001, sweltering heat in Prashantinilayam. See, as it is, summers in Prashantinilayam is brutal, but that summer was especially hot. And what had happened, like that evening during darshan, Swami came during the darshan rounds and he paused in front of us. We were seated there. It was the summer vacations, that just begun. And sitting very close by was Professor Anil Kumar. So Swami turned to him and he gave some very alarming news that a senior functionary of the ashram, Mr. Chiranjeevi Rao, that he had a sunstroke. And Swami was looking at Anil Kumar sir and he asked him, So what are the symptoms of sunstroke? What happens? So Anil Kumar sir started telling them one by one. He said, Swami, when there's a sunstroke, a person has chills. So Swami said chills, and then he looked at me, and I was a little puzzled. Then next Swami asked, what more? And he said, Swami, they'll have a headache. Then Swami said, oh, headache, and then again looked at me. And then Swami asked, what else? He said, they'll have high fever, Swami. Again Swami said high fever and looked at me. And this time I was beginning to think there's something amiss. And Swami asked the next question. He asked me this time. He asked me, where is your mother? And my mother, she used to sit in darshan. There's a particular place that she used to sit. Unconsciously, I turned towards that side when Swami asked the question. I turned that side, a quick check, she is not in her usual place. And I looked back at Swami and I said, Swami, she is not there. Swami just nodded and then walked away. And that whole experience, I had a cold dread in my heart. I was wondering what had happened. And nothing that Swami says is without significance. So somehow I calmed myself. I sat there till the end of bhajans. And soon after that I rushed home. And when I went home, I kept knocking on the door for a long time before my mother could open the door. She opened the door. I remember looking very exhausted. And I asked her, what happened to you? Then she said, this afternoon, suddenly I had, my body started shivering. I had these chills. And then, it was a intense headache. And I got a high fever. Then I recalled, word for word, Swami had mentioned exactly these symptoms to me. And then I said, okay, high fever, but how come you're here? I mean, you're able to open the door. Because I checked, she no longer had the fever. And she said, I don't know, maybe, about 1 hour ago, suddenly I had this experience that the fever, it left me. Like, in an instant, it left me. She showed, like this, as if it was drawn from the foot and out. And I told her of the entire conversation that had taken place with Bhagwan. And there was no doubt left in our minds that the whole drama was played out by Bhagwan just to show I know everything that is happening and everything is in my control, that I can do anything. There was this another experience which has been of very special significance to me. This happened in fact, November 24th, 2003. And I had just joined the Vedam group at that time. So the Vedam group, as it was composed, it consisted almost entirely of the staff and students from the higher secondary school and the institute. And here I was, I was working in the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust. So I was like the odd man out in that group. So on that day, during the darshan, morning darshan, Swami got it announced that he was very happy with all the students and all the staff for the hard work they had done during the Grama Seva in that year. So Swami said, I am very happy and I will distribute clothes to all of them. And even as Swami said that, everybody started applauding. And I started applauding. I joined the applause, but it is a little half-hearted because I realized I'm in a very awkward position now. And as I turned around, there was pretty much as unique in being in that awkward position. No one to share my predicament. And after some time, the distribution began. And first, one of the students, he came near and he was about to hand over the safari. I just shook my head. I said, no, I cannot take the cloth piece. And he went away. So, one by one, everybody around me was taking their pieces, cloth pieces, feeling very happy. They received Swami's prasadam during the birthday. And I was so down with disappointment. But I firmed up my heart and I said, Swami's command has to be followed to a T. And if he said that the prasadam is meant for the students and staff and I am not in that group, I cannot take it. So I firmed up my heart. I said, this is what I am going to do. So next teacher came and he was also about to hand over. And I told him, sir, I cannot take. He understood and he took it and he went his way. Next came Professor Venkatraman. Now he is a senior functionary and it is very difficult to say no to him. So he took it and I had to accept it. But the next chance I just looked at a person nearby and I handed it back. I said, please give it to someone else. Now this entire time, Swami's back was turned to us. We were seated in the region that is in front of the interview room. Swami was somewhere near where Professor Anil Kumar and all the teachers used to sit. So it was at least 10 or 20 feet away. His back was turned to us the whole time. And then Swami came, he walked and he was standing in front of us. And suddenly he said, Central Trust boys. I was so happy, as you can imagine the relief that flooded over me, that I was not going to miss this precious prasadam. So Swami called and one colleague of mine, Swami gave him the prasadam. Next I went and then Swami looked at me and he said that first one teacher, he came and gave you the cloth and you said no. I said, yes Swami. And Professor Venkatraman came and you took it. He made a mock stern face. I said, Swami, I took it, but then I gave it to someone else. He said, good boy. And then he handed over the cloth to me. So that was one thing was bonus, right? That receiving that approval from Bhagwan, that blessing from Bhagwan. But the thing is that was a very powerful lesson in me, that in life you're accountable to so many people, right? But the primary accountability is to Bhagwan. And it is fulfilling that accountability. See, at that time, if I had taken the safari cloth, I am pretty sure that the people around me neither would they have noticed, nor would they have judged me in any way. I said, along with the others, he has taken it. But I felt in my heart of hearts that, this is what Swami expects from us. And I decided to stay true to that. Now, I was very lucky and that Swami recognized it, because for the rest of my life, that is something I will, it keeps echoing. That whenever there is this temptation that somebody is not watching, it's okay to do something, but I know that if I retain that accountability to Bhagwan, that's what pleases him the most. So that is one priceless experience that I had.